Hunger is one of the most natural feelings a person can experience, but outside factors frequently influence it. Diet culture is one of the most significant disruption to the body's hunger and fullness cues, detecting what, when, and how much people should eat. But everything from work schedules to social events and even clever advertising can impact someone's diet and appetite. The issue is that these outside influences are almost always arbitrary, having nothing to do with what someone is actually feeling or experiencing or what their body needs. Intuitive eating works to reduce the power of these factors. The approach to eating encourages people to tune into and respond to their body's natural cues for hunger and fullness, as well as learn to hear what type of food their body is craving. The idea is to help people cultivate a healthier and more intimate relationship with food and not feel so much stress or pressured around their daily diet. Though this sounds like a common sense approach to eating, it can be deceptively tricky to make the change. However, there are certain principles of intuitive eating that can help you learn to let go of outside influences and learn to hear and listen to the best intentions of your own body. Hello and welcome to another episode here on Lunch Global. Today we're going to be looking at some of the principles of intuitive eating and then how you can learn to also listen to yourself or to your body instead of, outside influences, trying to hear someone telling you that, oh, you have to go on dieting, you have to eat this or eat that, or, at some point it tends to make you feel, less of yourself, uncomfortable, insecure, which I know that, most people have such. And for that reason, it pushes people to go into maybe gym, workout, trying to deprive themselves of eating healthy because they think they are not good enough. And today we're going to be looking at some of these things that we can dedicate ourselves to now that will help you and, make you a little bit more focused to understanding yourself and what food does your body really needs. I am Chunk Annamel Joseph. Stay tuned because we'll return shortly after the break. Welcome back from the short break, and I am Chunk Annamel Joseph. And if you're just catching up with us today, we're going to be looking at those principles that can help you, fix your eating habits in a way that is intuitive eating. And intuitive eating is just an eating based philosophy often used in eating disorder recovery. It involves learning to recognize and honor the difference between physical and emotional hunger and approaching eating with a body first mentality. The principles of intuitive eating help you work towards an attitude and approach to food that supports your physical and mental health. And we have certain principles of intuitive eating that will help you focus on breaking away from dieting cycles and affirming the body's natural cues when it comes to food. And if you follow these principles, trust me, it's going to help you, trust yourself, believe in what you eat, and also help you, get to even eat intentionally, leaving your emotional out of the whole picture or your mentality out of the whole picture. Now, what intuitive eating does to you, it makes you just understand that this is you. Your friend, or basically, Mr. A can decide to focus on certain things and then it works on them perfectly well, and then you as a person will try it and you see instead of it giving you that value or that health benefit that it's giving the other person, you're not really getting that, and then you tend to feel like maybe where you are doing it is wrong, or the other person is doing magic, but then that's because you do not understand that your body is entirely different with the other person's body. So certain principles, like, you need to also lose the diet mentality. If you're able to forget about, the mentality of, oh, when I diet, I'm going to do this. When I diet, it must be like this, and I have to eat this particular thing, and that is just it. And if it's not that, then it can never work. You have to lose that mentality. If what works for me might not necessarily work for you, so you have to try as much as possible to lose that diet mentality. Diet culture isn't just pervasive, it's big business. Every year, dozens of weight loss companies, gyms, social media influencers, and publications work to convince people that there is only one true body shape or size worth thriving for. Generally, a lean and toned one, and that achieving this look should be prioritized above all else. Now, this set up several harmful false dichotomies, and which are the ideas that bodies can only be in the right shape or not. It also says that the food are either good or bad, and that people who are in shape are morally superior, and those who aren't are undeserving. Most of the time we feel that way. If you feel like your body, you're not masculine, you're not built, or for ladies, we're always so much concerned when it comes to, oh, my tummy is big, my arms are very big. And because when we feel that way, we tend to feel like the other people who look different than the way we look are looking much more better, or they are cuter, or the society accepts them better than they accept you just because of the way your body is. That notion is entirely false, and I think this is just a mindset, and this mindset isn't just right, like it's not right. And this mindset here too isn't just wrong, it's potentially dangerous, with numerous studies finding frequent dieting behavior to be one of the strongest indicator of developing an eating disorder. Rejecting the diet mentality involves rejecting the idea of that you should be eating certain food, not eating certain food, working out more, working out in a specific way, or attempting to reach a certain number of the scale. Letting go of these toxic ideas can not only help improve mental health, but also will free you up of mental space to adopt other more inclusive philosophies, such as those involved in intuitive or mindful eating. So when you're able to lose this particular mindset, now you now get to understand that at this point, you're having an intentional attitude towards your body, intentional attitude towards what you eat, than trying to compare yourself or trying to be accepted by the society or by the people, making you feel like, oh, there are certain people who are supposed to be accepted, there are certain people who are supposed to be finding a certain location, and you are not. This is at the same time you looking down on yourself because you are just having a diet kind of mentality, and it does not make you feel good about your body. Now, the second thing you also need to understand about intuitive eating is, for you to get into that, for you to be able to have that ability, you need to recognize your hunger cues. Now, there are different times and different things that sometimes our body tells us, and then we tend to ignore them. Most diets are built on a preconceived structure that dictates what, when, and how much a person can eat. However, many other environmental factors can influence hunger and satiety cues, including only having a specific time to take a lunch break, or even seeing advertisement for a certain food or restaurant. These external guidelines all work to cloud the natural feeling we experience around hunger and satiety. And as Pavlov discovered when training his dog, the effects can be powerful and lasting. Learning to undo environmental influences and recognize your own hunger cue is generally one of the most difficult intuitive eating principles to follow. but it's also one of the most important, as it can help improve the mind-body connection and empower you to literally trust your gut. Working with a nutritionist or using tools like the hunger taste satiety scale can help you learn how to tune out these pressures and tune in to your needs. Some people in eating disorder may have additional concerns, such as not having consistent hunger cues or feeling uncomfortable with ideas like hunger or fullness. And in these cases, it can be helpful to get support from a trained provider to develop a structure around food that will ensure that you are eating enough to meet your needs while working towards feeling more comfortable with listening to your own body. So if at the end of the day you are so concerned, I think this happens to literally everyone. Sometimes you can be watching maybe an advert, or you're seeing like nice pictures of food, and at that point you start telling yourself, I just want to eat this. Not like you need that thing, and not like you're hungry at that point. It happens to like all of us, everybody. But then, when you want to be like intentional, you want to get into the having you being that intentional about your hunger cues, then you need to now understand your body first. Get to know that, okay, I am hungry. That is why I'm eating, not because I'm having so much cravings. And then sometimes all those cravings tend to actually stop us from eating healthy. So it just pushes us to eat with our emotions and maybe like a particular mentality that we have at a given period of time. So you have to get to understand your hunger cues, and of course your cues when it comes to you being satisfied after eating. You have to understand the difference between these two. And the next thing, you also have to make peace with food. Now, if you're someone who does not like food, then you have to make peace with food. If you're someone who always complains about food, you have to make peace with food. That food are inherently good or bad. It can be, sometimes, truthfully, we want to just be so concerned about, oh no, I don't like this, that's because it's a good food or it's a bad food. And we are always so concerned about that. And it is another lesson most people hear from early in their life. While sometimes well-intentioned, wanting a child to eat more vegetable, for instance, the idea is misguided as best potentially dangerous, feeding into the same mentality that drives diet culture and pathological eating habit. The intuitive eating principle teaches that food is neither good nor bad by nature, and you should likewise not feel good or bad about eating certain foods. The hope is to encourage people to release their inability around food, which can help them lean into their natural hunger and satiety cue and learn to recognize what type of food their body is actually craving. Removing this restriction can lessen obsessive feelings that can develop around certain food consideration, which are like forbidden. This type of mindset has also been found to help reduce binge eating and related guilt. So at the end of the day, we know that we advise that, we all know, and a lot of people advise that, even here, that eating vegetables and fruit is very good, and we know it is. But then, there is a point at which where I will tell you, eat vegetable, like try to eat vegetable all the time, and you know that at a particular given period of time, your body does not need that. Now, you need to understand your cravings. You don't just crave what you see, or crave it because someone is talking about a nice food and the next thing you're salivating and then you just want to eat it. That is where the problem comes from. And before you know, you are eating what your body does not need at a particular time. So at all times, you have to make peace with food. You have to understand the food you're eating. You have to know what food are you supposed to eat at a particular given period of time. And that's why, I will always make an instance where portion meal plan comes in. When you have your meal plan, it helps you dictate all these things. You have to tell yourself that, you have to always tell yourself that, okay, if I need this, how do I balance my meal? How do I balance my food? Where does vegetable come in? Where does fruit comes in? Do I eat it for my dessert? Do I eat this for my starter? Do I eat as my main course? So, it helps you dictate all of this questions that you have in your head, and then it helps you with the perfect answer. And the next thing is you have to quit internal criticism. This is very, very important, because sometimes we get criticism from people, and sometimes we criticize ourselves by ourselves. Oftentimes, what we eat or decline to eat is based not on what our body is feeling, but on intentionalized societal expectation around food and eating. This voice in our heads is sometimes referred to as food police, as it tells us particular food or eating behavior are good or bad. This mindset works to moralize food, reinforce rigid diet rules, and shame people for eating more than they should have, or enjoying food that's supposed to be bad. It can also work as positive reinforcement for disordered eating behavior, like restricting food intake even when feeling physically hungry. Intuitive eating encourages you to chase the food police away and to challenge the false belief that decisions around food makes you a good or bad person, because food does not make you a good or bad person. You know, sometimes when you find yourself, especially when you find yourself out or when you are not in your home, it feels like, okay, if I eat this, they will say, oh, I like, you know, I have long throat. Or when I eat, they will be like, oh, this one is trying to just form. They don't want to eat because they don't like the food, or they don't feel like the food is good enough. Now we need to just, you know, get rid of this particular mindset, because to be honest, this kind of mindset, sometimes it ruins us from eating properly. It stops us from eating even when we feel hungry, because there are times that you feel hungry just because you are in a particular space, you feel like you're not comfortable, or you feel like, oh, if you eat, someone is going to be looking at you and say you have a bad eating habit, or they are going to say, you know, you are just eating, or you have long throat or something like that. You know, most of the time we tell ourselves those things, and you do not know what the other person is thinking, so it will not necessarily be what you're thinking that is the problem. So this may involve identifying internal and external food rules that shows up for you, and finding ways to challenge these rules and believe. So do not always feel like this. Figure it out. Try to just get rid of this particular kind of mentality, because it is of no good to you. The next thing, you have to look for the satisfaction factor. Look for the satisfaction factor. What satisfies you? Being stuck in a diet mentality can create a constant sense of deprivation or even resentment, making it difficult to fully enjoy food or feel satisfied even when physically satiated. Part of the intuitive eating definition involves trusting your body to know what feels good and allowing it to eat the food it wants. This can help encourage feelings of satisfaction or even joy around food, and work to counteract the toxic idea that certain food are inherently bad. Approaching decisions about meal with the goal of satisfaction rather than stress around adhering to specific rules regardless of how you're feeling can also help reinforce trust in yourself. It can help cultivate future intuitive decision about what type of meal or snack will satisfy your current need. So this also help you understand what you need. When you get the satisfaction factor, when you are able to understand your own satisfaction factor, then there's nothing that anyone, anywhere, or the society or a particular mentality will affect your eating habit, because you're eating because you understand what makes you want to eat and what satisfies your eating. You know, I know there are kind of mentalities that they say, when you're eating, while you're eating, do not drink water until you're done eating. Yes, that is like a societal belief, a societal kind of mentality that tend to make us feel like, oh, it is not right. Oh, I read this in a book. They say when you are eating, while you do not drink food while you eat. Or why I think people say when you're eating food, you should like cut down on water, especially when it comes to kids. You know, kids, they don't like to eat. It's like they eat one spoon of rice, whatever they're eating, they want to drink water and all of that. So it just make them not to eat good, you know, not to eat properly. The water fill up the stomach, but it's just water. In a few like in a few minutes at the end of the day, you know, that satisfaction is not going to be there. The next thing, hunger will just hit in. So that is the reason why I think we're just so keen about, okay, you know, you have to don't eat and drink so much water while you eat, so that you'll be able to eat properly. But there's this mentality that, oh, sometimes when someone is eating, it will get to a point where it's like you want to even get choked, and then you just have this mentality that, no, I'm not supposed to drink. Oh, they taught us in school, or when I was growing up in a home economic class, they said when you're eating you should not drink water. I don't think that's just a societal kind of mentality, and then do not allow that mentality to just get the best part of you. Now, this is just one example. And the next thing, you need to treat yourself with compassion. Now, don't just treat yourself with compassion, also love yourself. You know, when you give yourself that compassion, when you love yourself, there are certain things that you will do and there are certain things that you will not do. So this intuitive eating principle help people recognize whether they are experiencing physical or emotional hunger. Some people use food or food-related behaviors to deal with uncomfortable thoughts or emotions, such as anxiety, stress, loneliness, or boredom. And this happens to a lot of us, including myself. You know, sometimes when you are bored, it's like you just want to eat something. But like when I'm lonely, when I'm alone, I don't tend to really eat well, to be honest. So it can affect you, either you do or you do not. So it can be both ways. So, you know, and it can cause you, when you find yourself in this particular moment, maybe you're anxious, you're stressed, you're lonely, you're bored, now it tends to affect you. And in some cases, these behaviors can escalate and lead to an eating disorder. However, treating yourself more gently in times of stress can help contract this eating habit. Again, this can be a challenging connection to unlearn, but several therapies, strategies, and tools can help foster a more self-compassionate mindset. So when you have this particular mindset, when you love yourself, when you treat yourself properly, you know, there are certain things that you know that, okay, this is me, this is my body, this is my life, this is my health, and you have to be intentional about it. So if there is something you really don't feel good about when it comes to your eating habit, your body, I believe that this intuitive principles should be able to help you develop a very, 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 very good eating habit. Don't forget, you need to treat yourself with compassion. You are you. You need to love yourself. You need to look for your own satisfaction factor. What satisfies you? What is it about food that you love? You need to quit internal criticism. Don't just always listen to what your body is just telling you. No, you don't have to. If you eat it, you're going to have big tummy, but at that point you feel that hunger. Then you also have to make peace with food. You have to be able to make peace with food. This is very, very important, because we know that there are people who, they'll even tell you, I hate food, I do like food. You know, this kind of person that doesn't like food. Please make peace with food. You also need to recognize your hunger cues. Listen to your body. Listen to what your body is saying. Hear the call. Understand what it's saying is very important. And lastly, you need to lose the diet mentality. The society is saying a lot of things. You hear this from this gym instructor. You hear this from influencers, or telling you that, oh, it's because they use this, what do they call it? The waist wrap. And then they've been working out, and that's why they have this kind of body. You have to lose that diet mentality. Listen to your body, focus on yourself, and trust me, it's gonna get even better. Thank you for staying with me. I'm going to be putting a stop here today, and I hope this is going to just be helpful for you in developing a very, 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 very good eating habit. You being intuitive about your eating is going to go a very long way for you when it comes to eating healthy. Thank you for staying glued to us today, and thank you for catching up every day. I am still Chong Annabelle Joseph. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.